All right, everybody, thank you for coming. Bruce, did you check in? This is Bruce.
I did.
All right.
Thank you.
If you don't have a name tag in front of you, no, or wait,
Oh, that's the marriage.
yeah. All right, thank you, everybody, for coming. I appreciate the hard work
Do you
from,
need to make one? Did you want to check?
you know me, I'm a candid person, right? So I appreciate the hard work from some, and others I'm wondering, when are you going to start studying? And I'm not going to make any eye contact with anybody. So I will again repeat something candidly, that we owe the students, we owe the coaches, we owe the parents, essentially our best effort. And
Whatever you want.
if you were going to have brain surgery, or if you're going to go to a nice restaurant and eat a good meal, or if you were going to be stopped on the side of the road by law enforcement, you would expect that those folks had studied their craft and that they were going to provide excellent service to you. We need to provide excellent service. And so in this room, there's probably many people on the spectrum where we have somebody who's they're gonna replace one of us. By the way, this is Kay Linda. She is our vice president. Sorry, Kay Linda, I should have started with that.
That's okay.
Ruffles and flourishes to the general. Kay Linda tolerates James in the back, right? Is that what I heard, the story?
Sometimes.
Yeah, okay. So I just want to encourage you. I'm going to say a both and statement. This is a lot of information. It's brand new. It's like learning a new language. And we're adults, so we don't learn a new language very well. And we're going to go through Rule 2 definitions tonight. Don't walk on the field for your first game the third week of August giving minimal effort. Please do not do that. Okay, Linda is a crew chief, I'm a crew chief, Tim's a crew chief, and we're not gonna allow you to do it. So I realize life happens. This is July, it's beautiful weather, and you're trying to do a lot of things at the same time. You're trying to work and vacation and take care of loved ones, and life happens, get nails pulled out of your toe. And I would just ask that you do some self-evaluation and say, how am I doing with my preparation to walk on the field and provide an excellent service to the kids and the coaches and the parents who deserve it. They deserve it. And if coaches yell at us because we don't study and we're lazy on the field and we haven't put in the effort, I'm going to invite them to say whatever they want, free of charge, because we deserve it. When you know the rules and the mechanics and you are excellent and they yell at you, then you can, with great conscience, take it knowing that you were right and you gave it your best effort, and we don't go back at them. We're like Chick-fil-A. You know, we're a great customer service, but we have that, I know what I'm doing. So does that make sense? Sometimes when I speak, I offend people, and I'm not going to apologize because I want to speak truth. And many, many years ago, somebody said, if you pet the cat in the wrong direction and it gets offended, turn the cat around. Right? Okay, so for today, I did want to remind you that your deliverable, hello, Mr. Van Gambler, ladies and gentlemen, can we please clap? So this gentleman is the reason why I'm standing right here.
Don't blame me.
Mark is a crew chief. Mark is a crew chief, and he drafted me in 2007. And much of what I know came out of his cranium. And when I talk about having a mentor, that's my mentor right there. So thank you, Mark, for coming. You can correct me whenever you would like. Okay.
Mark, before we get started,
Yes.
I just wanted to pass this on in case.
Talk loud so everybody can hear you.
Sure. This past week, I went ahead and bought my shirts. And I bought them from a place that I've used before, and they're out of Texas, but it's the same equipment as Smitty's.
Yeah.
And they were a little less expensive than I think the ones that you were showing last week. So typically, they are a little less expensive. And what I'd say is, I bought them last week primarily because they were offering a 4th of July free shipping thing. And if you contacted them and told them that an official from Texas told them that you could get free shipping, I'm not going to guarantee it, but they probably would.
All right, did everybody hear that? That's important
The
information.
name of the place is Officials Gear Outlet.
Officials Gear Outlet.
And I mean, it's like I said, it's the same Smitty shirts that you were showing, but the short sleeves with the flag are 45 and the long sleeve with the flag is 50.
Okay, thank
And I
you.
got free shipping on it, so that even saves, about another $10.
If you have not yet watched the uniforms and equipment video, you are behind because you don't know what to buy if you haven't yet watched that video. By the way, raise your hand if you do not have a whistle. All right, thank you everyone. Outstanding. This is your target. This is the real target. There's a target. Tomorrow, I'm going to send your contact information to Monica Tillman at CHASA. I've already coordinated with her. You should receive either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday 2 emails. One is a welcome to accept the SCFO group. If you are not yet an Arbiter, you need to get into Arbiter from scratch. If you are in Arbiter already, you need to accept this SCFO group. And then the second email will tell you how do you pay the $97. Some of it is fees, and some of it is to pay, for example, the Reading Study Guide and the rules book. And did we get case books or not yet?
They're en route.
En route. Everybody's going to get a case book as well. In Arbiter, on or about the 14th of July, according to George Demetrio, the author of the Reading Study Guide, you will be able to access the test. There are 2 tests. One is a test for veterans that want to work playoffs. If you're a veteran official, you want to take that test and pass it. The other is an 80-question true-false test for rookies and others who will not work playoffs. And it's true-false. And Kaylinda, hold your ears. There has to be a strategy. You get 2 tries. If you take it and you don't write anything down and you don't pay attention to the questions and you fail, I will bet dollars to donuts you will fail again because you will not have any idea which questions you missed. It will say you missed question 1, 5, 13. Now, I don't know. Hopefully George set it up in Arbiter so that the questions arrive the second time in the same order that you saw them the first time. I would not count on that. So if you do a little elbow grease and you cut and paste the questions and you make note of the number and then it says you missed question 12, now you know that you did not know that concept. And if you answer true the first time, don't answer true the second time. When you pass the test, what must you do?
Randy knows.
Okay.
Randy.
Can you say that again, please, loud, so everybody can hear you?
Email Randy.
You are going to send a copy. I would just forward it because you're going to get an email from Arbiter within probably 30 seconds. Forward that email to Randy. He will keep track. They'll also keep track with Monica that you have indeed paid your $97. So you paid us $25, you pay $97, that's $122. And when you pass the test and you've paid your money, you are now going to be put on the supplemental draft, which is which date?
29th,
The 29th, what location?
at the Methodist Church.
Westside Global Methodist Church, not here. And you're going to go ahead, Walt.
Just gonna say, you were talking about the test, really expedient if before you hit submit or next on each question, take a screenshot of the answer, and then you've got it. So you don't need to cut the video, just take a screenshot of each question before you move to the next one.
That would be the smart, you're older than I am, how can you know that kind of technology?
Because I'm older than you.
Okay. Yeah, so if you want to take a screenshot, you'd have 80 pictures on your phone.
What's the deadline for that test? Because I want to use as much time.
So the question is, what is the deadline for the test?
July 28th.
I'm sorry?
July 28th.
Close of business July 28th. We're not going to have you email at 5:29 p.m. on the 29th and say, I just passed my test. I'll stop talking. Do what you want to do. Okay, Linda is in charge. Randy is in charge. I'm going to be breaking big rocks and little rocks in prison at that time. Any questions about the test? Now, one of the things you will do, and I will say this is imperative, is look up the question and the answer in the rules book before you answer. And it is a difficult test. I've looked at it. I have a copy of it. You have a copy, I'm sure, by now. Wipe that grin off your face. It's a difficult test. It's not what is the shape of the football. It's a difficult test. And one of the things we are going to do here is try to prepare you. We're going to go through each one of the rules. We're going to try to prepare you to be able to at least navigate the rules book. We're not going to have you memorize rules, and in this class, we're not going to overwhelm you with information. We're going to give you enough to walk on the field after the tutelage of the crew chiefs to be able to walk on the field and be confident and do a good job as a brand new official. So questions about the test. Is everybody locked in? You must have your rules book, and you must find the question and the answer before you answer true or false and go to the next question. Okay, we talked about this last week, but I do want to just kind of cage our gyros before we get into the rules. In the rules book, one of the things I didn't know until like last year was on the first page. It says, member associations of the NFHS independently make decisions regarding compliance with or modification of these playing rules for the student athletes in their respective states. Which means we have rules interpreters, and the rules interpreters with certain rules are going to determine how are we going to interpret the rules book. And in this rules book, there are mistakes. Rule 10.4.4a is a mistake. And there's a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth. I would recommend you go on social media. There are some Facebook groups, NFHS football officials and NFHS football officials. And there are over 9,000 people on the Facebook, and it's starting to get warmed up where people are starting to post plays. And they're arguing about pant length, whether or not it's okay to cover the knees or not, and whether or not, whatever. Just note that our rules interpreter for our state, George Demetrio, the author of the Reading Study Guide, is one of our crew chiefs, and he gets to determine how we suck the egg in Colorado. So don't get into a fight on social media because Louisiana does it this way, and they kick their people out for having their pants over their knees, and we don't. So there is a page that has rules changes. We'll go to, there's not a page number, after the table of contents. It basically talks about what is different from last year to this year. And the big difference is we now have a forward fumble rule where the ball's fumbled forward and out of bounds. And in a nutshell, what we do is, hi Steve. Hi. Can you check in with Kay Linda real quick? Everybody, can we do a Yankee suck cheer just real quick? All right. The ball is fumbled, out of bounds, forward and out of bounds. We used to spot the ball where the ball went out of bounds. So, for example, on fourth down, if A12 fumbled the ball short of the line to gain and it rolled out of bounds beyond the line to gain, teammate earned a first down. That is no longer the case. So there is a fourth down, or not fourth down, take it back. There is a forward fumble out of bounds rule. And then 9-6 penalty and 10-4-4B deleted. Rule 10, which is penalty enforcement, is still dorked up. And more to come. Penalty enforcement. So all the white hats are like, what the heck is going on here? And it's very simple. There is an illegal batting and illegal kicking, and we're going to do everything the same unless Team A illegally bats or kicks the ball behind the line of scrimmage. And that's the punchline, all the weeping and gnashing of teeth. There are also editorial changes in your rules book. These do not fundamentally change the rule, but the example I gave last year was the mouthpiece, where 2 years ago, kids were wearing an ornamental mouthpiece dangling from their face mask, and they had one in their mouth, and then when we stopped the game and said, put your mouthpiece in, they said, oh, I've got one. So there was an editorial change saying the players could equip one mouthpiece. And so it didn't fundamentally change the rule, it was just editorial. What you will find when you flip through your rules book is anything that is in gray, pay attention to, because it's either a rules change or an editorial change. And then we have points of emphasis. The points of emphasis for the 2025 season is illegal and improperly worn player equipment. I would read every word of these pages because the rules committee decided it was important enough to put in your rules book. So please do not skim over this. You're responsible, and one of the things that we like to talk to the coaches and when we have conversations is, Coach, this is a point of emphasis. Sportsmanship is a point of emphasis, and then defenseless player and targeting. Defenseless player and targeting. In Rule 2, we'll talk about a defenseless player, and especially on passing plays. Now, players have to contact that receiver in an attempt, a legitimate attempt to play the ball, or a wrap-up tackle. And then there's a third component that just slipped out of my mind. I'll get to it. So they can't just run into a player in an attempt to break up the play. That is no longer legal if that is a defenseless player. Okay, turn the page. And turn the page again. We have our diagram. So we went down to the field last week. And you might say, well, it's a football field. It's important when we reach the field during our pregame to focus and have purposeful movement and purposeful actions and not just smoking and joking. We want to make sure the field is safe, the field is properly configured, and then especially for wings, what did we focus on last week?
The markers.
Lily, talk loud.
The markers along the sideline.
So what do?
We need to make sure they're back
Right.
off the sideline.
The rules book says 5 yards.
2 yards.
I moved mine back to 2 yards to differentiate between the sideline and the edge of the restricted area. Okay? So that's the beginning of your rules book. Don't overlook those components. And then we get to Rule 1. There are names of the rules, and I would recommend you know at least some of the golden nuggets in each one of the rules. So if I said Rule 8, you would think, okay, that talks about touchdowns, touchbacks, safeties, force, and the exception to safety, and you kind of know a little bit about it, tries and field goals. You know a little bit about what is in that rule. Because as you're studying, you're going to find that in many cases, the entire rule is not in one place. For example, blindside block. One of the components is in Rule 2, and the rest of the components are in Rule 9. and it's just what I call brute force memorization. And you cannot know the rules if you don't open the rules book. So, as you go to sleep at night or you wake up in the morning or whatever your routine is, I would ask that you would take some time to look at rules, maybe a page a day or 2 pages a day, to try to familiarize yourself with the rules book. And we realize that you're new. You're new, so there's a lot of grace given to new people, but then there's zero grace. It's a both and. We want you to be the smartest person in the room right now. We realize you're not going to be. So the expectation is high, but there's a lot of grace. Does that make sense? The only difference between me and everybody else in this room is you're much better looking than me, and I've had an 18-year head start on those that are not the veterans. Okay? All right, so these are the names of the rules we're going to go through. Today we're going to try to get through Rule 7, so we're going to go pretty fast. I recorded Rule 8 yesterday morning. I was going to edit it this morning and I was lazy, so I didn't. But my plan is to put Rule 8 on the Art of Officiating website very soon. We have Rule 9, which is a lot of the foul descriptions, and on the Art of Officiating website there is a folder called Fouls and Videos. So I may pick out a foul like block and below the waist, and I have a separate video that talks about the rule and then shows the videos. And this is an opportunity for you to do your own self-study, and it's all in our syllabus to try to go through and take a look. Rule 10 is enforcement of penalties. I'm going to give you another both and statement. You can save the crew as a first-year official first game. You can save my crew. Tim saved me how many thousands of times? You can save the crew by paying attention and thinking, wait a minute, that my spider sense is tingling. That is not correct. However, we realize that penalty enforcement is very nuanced. We talk about the team in possession, the team not in possession, beyond the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage, post-scrimmage kick, roughing the passer. All of these special rules that it's, again, brute force memorization, we want you to try to be as good as you can be. And during one of our association meetings, we're going to say, hey, Steve, we want to introduce Steve, and guess what? He had this game, and the whole crew wanted to do this, and he said, wait a minute, isn't this true? And he saved us all. All right. Please read, just like you do points of emphasis, read football fundamentals. Don't skip over it. Read the football fundamentals, because they are valuable, and if you just say, I'm done with Rule 10, I'm just going to stop reading the rules book, we're missing out on a lot. Resolving tied games. If you're running out of brain bites, then maybe the 8 and 6 player rules differences you skip over until you get a phone call from our assigner, Scott Sansel, and he says, I need you to do a 6-man varsity game tomorrow. Right there.
Week 2 last year.
Yeah. Okay, there is a penalty summary, and this is valuable if you forget whether or not helping the runner is 5, 10, or 15 yards. There's a penalty summary at the very end. It's a box that has all of the penalties. It has the references in the rules book, and it even gives you the signal. And if you're on my crew, I'm going to say, what's the signal again for, illegal kicking or something? These are all the signals. And we're going to talk about signals, aren't we, Eric? And there is a crew signals video on the Art of Officiating website, and we expect you to look crisp with your uniform, you're mechanically in the right position, looking at the right thing, and you're giving really strong, crisp signals, because that just helps our credibility as officials. And then comments on the rules changes at the end, and then we're done. And there's also other pages you can read. We do have, in Colorado, we have our running clock rules. So in 6-man, it's 45 points, and in 8-man and above, it's 40 points. Other states have different rules. We have a lightning policy. There are other policies that CHASA, Colorado High School Activities Association, employs in our state. Okay? All right, so here's the football field diagram. Somebody raise your hand and tell me something significant that you learned for the first time last week.
I guess about the yard markers.
Talk loud so everybody can hear you.
I guess about the yard markers, how you want them off the goal line so they don't obstruct your view or you trip over them.
Good, thank you.
Restricted area, 2 yards around the whole field.
Right, so the restricted area, now, on this field, it's very well marked. Some fields may not be as marked as well, and the coach might say, can I go down to the 20 or is it the 25? So these are some, this is the coach's area that becomes what? Restricted area when?
The ball is imminent to be snapped.
No. More precise. The ball is L word.
Live.
Live, right. So you will have coaches that will test you. Coach, I need your back, please. Coach, I need your back. And they're like, I can be in the coach's area. I had that happen at Wasson High or at Harrison High School, and you were on the game. I can tell you about it later. I've seen Mark mad like twice, and both times they're at me. No, but he doesn't get mad that often, and he was agitated but not mad during that game. Okay.
One more question, Mark. How
Yes, sir.
often do we run into fields that are, subpar marked?
The question is, how often do we run into fields that are subpar marked? James?
Anytime you go out east, any grass field.
So what are a couple of out east city or towns?
You go to Genoa, Rush,
About
Hayden.
Peyton?
Fountain,
I live in Peyton. Isn't their football field perfect?
No.
No? Okay, my post office is in there.
I would add
Simla.
lots of sub-varsity games. So, like with Widefield's got a nice grass field. They don't play sub-varsity games in that field. They play them outside of the stadium. So, lots of sub-varsity games and middle school games are going to have poorly marked fields.
All right, are we ready to strap it on and go fast? Ricky Bobby,
You're not first.
I want to go fast. Let's go fast. I am going to I'm going to do wave top level of these rules. Your job is to, on your own, go in and read every single word of the rules book. And what I would recommend you do is have a notebook, have a highlighter, and when you read something that doesn't make sense, and you're like, I have to go back and re-engage with that information, you either highlight it or you write it down and then go back and review. This book is not made to read one time and then never read it again. This book is made to read all the time, even in the off season. So here are some highlights. By rule, yard markers no closer than 5 yards. Keep tripping over that. I move it back 2 yards. Restraining line is 2 yards from the sidelines. So that goes all the way around the field. You must insist on having that restraining, the restricted area clear. And you are going to get pushback. In basic human nature, you're going to get pushback. You need to have positional authority as a football official. You need to exercise that positional authority. And if you are, I don't want you to be angry and resentful and bitter, but coach, I need you back, please. Chick-fil-A, please, thank you, my pleasure. But you have to insist on, coach, I need you back. And you politely work with the coaches to get them back. Yes, sir.
So after a while, that does get distracting. tell them to look back. So even after like more than one time, it becomes very distracting if they're still right there in peripheral.
So
are
the-
you flagging that ahead? Are you just warning that after the first warning or the second warning?
So there, I don't want to spend, that's a great question. The comment was after even the first time it becomes distracting. So are you going to continue to warn? I'm going to give you another both and. In basketball, do they still call them benchmark fouls? Where we want the officials to act the same. We want the wings to treat their coaches and treat their sidelines the same. We can't have one wing that throws a flag during the opening kickoff and the other wing that is super permissive. I am more permissive as a wing than maybe I should be. And everybody's going to have their own tolerance. What I would say is never throw your flag out of anger and never throw your flag to make a point. We throw our flag because, remember, one team cannot gain a competitive advantage over the other team within the rules. We want to make sure that the teams follow the rules. So there are rules for coaches and players and other people being in the restricted area when the ball is live. There's rules for when we run into them. The first warning is free, quote unquote. It's not free, it's a warning. The second one is 5 yards and every subsequent one is 15 yards. So I would say talk to your crew chief. I do not want to dictate for these people in the room. They're in charge of your crew and they're going to tell you how we're going to respond to the sidelines, because to me the punchline is be the same. Be the same. And if we were the Borg, if any Star Trek fans, we could be the Borg. The coaches would have the same interaction with each crew every Friday night or every time they get on the field. The same interaction, and that is not true. So I would say the best we do is talk to your crew chief and say, ask that question to your crew chief, and the crew chief will tell you, this is how I want you to approach that. Okay?
Mark, before we leave that concept of coaches being on the side, I know we gotta go, but in Texas, we had this come up, it's a serious situation about 18 years ago, and it was this. You had officials that were not enforcing keeping coaches off the field. We had a change of possession.
Can we go fast with this?
Yeah, we had a change of possession. So you're reversing field.
Yep.
And a coach that was standing in the restricted area got run over by an official.
Right.
Because we had an interception. The whole officiating crew got sued by the coach because he all of a sudden is now paraplegic.
Right. Yeah. So anecdotally, those things happen. Talk to your crew chief. Thank you, David. All right. We always snap the ball inside the marks. Sometimes, like on a Parks and Rec field, you won't have marks. You do the best you can. But again, as a wing, be confident. Your umpire may be daydreaming, and he puts the ball down out between the hash mark and the sideline, and you just go, hey, Josh, can you move it in a little bit? We're always going to snap between the hash marks. We talk about the numbers. So this field has numbers. The bottom of the numbers is exactly 9 yards from the sideline. And that's important for certain participation rules where between when the ball's dead, before the ball is marked ready, or after the ball is marked ready for play, all Team A members must momentarily be inside of the 9-yard mark between the numbers to prevent a hideout play, to prevent a player from just stepping onto the field. Some fields don't have numbers, but they should have hashes to indicate where that 9-yard position is. We talked about the team boxes. We also talked about the pylons last week. So tell me about the pylon on the goal line. Somebody described the location of the pylon. It is
On the intersection of the out of bounds and goal line.
okay. So that pylon is
Out of bounds.
out of bounds, and you said it.
The end.
It's on the goal line and
On the
out of bounds. And when a player approaches the pylon, there are multiple ways that player can extend the football, airborne or not, inside the pylon or out. You need to pay attention to that because you're a wing, and if you're in a sub-varsity game, you don't have a back judge, so the goal line is yours. 99 yards away, the goal line is yours, and you're going to have to rule on whether or not that the ball's spotted at the one yard line or it's a touchdown. And then each player will be numbered 0 to 99, not 00. What, and we haven't gotten here yet, it's not, but I'm just going to say for the sake of the discussion, what numbers are ineligible numbers to receive a legal forward pass?
50 to 79.
50 to 79. I asked a third-year official that a couple of years ago, and he didn't know. So, those are some things that probably are important to know. This is important, the player equipment, and there are page after page after page of player equipment statements. When you walk on the field, these are some of the ones that I thought were most prevalent, most important. When you walk onto the field, you will look for player equipment. So the one mouthpiece, either on the face mask or in the mouth, but not both. It can now be solid or clear. We do not have tinted or polarized eye shades. So if the player turns his head like this and is polarized, that player cannot wear. And if the coach says, well, he's worn it the whole season, he doesn't wear it in your football game. If he says, I have a doctor's note, no such thing. So no tinted eye shade. They can wear sunglasses. It doesn't have to be under a clear eye shade. So this is, Mark, I'm surprised you didn't call me out. This is technically not fully correct. They can wear sunglasses. It doesn't have to be behind a clear eye shade. The pants must cover the knees. This is a big deal. It's probably one of the number one reasons we interact with coaches and there is consternation. Is the players see they see other players on television that they lift their legs, their pants, they wear shorts. They're glorified because they wear shorts. And in high school and sub-varsity, the players love to pull their pants up in warm-ups to look, impressive. They'll take their jerseys and pull them up, and at least at one of the schools, the guys had notes to their girlfriends taped to their back protector. And they'll play the game with their jersey up. So you want to make sure that the pants cover the knees. All of these pads must be present. Don't touch a player. Some kids are so skinny you can't tell. And from my experience, kids will not always tell the truth. They don't like to be called out. They don't like to be found incorrect. So you say, hey, 7, do you have a butt pad in? Yes, sir, I do. Can you show it to me? And they don't have one. And you say, Coach, he needs a butt pad. Well, we don't have any extras. Coach, he cannot play without a butt pad. It's black and white. There are no shades of gray. They have to wear a play card on the arm, and you will find play cards on the waist quite a bit. And they need to have them off the waist and on the arm. Talked about the jersey completely covering the pads, the shoulder pads. It happens almost every play after a tackle. And umpires, you're going to help pull them down. Or, hey, 12, and you pull it down. That's really a safety thing. And then the hard surface equipment, if used, has to be covered. Jerseys have to come down to the waist. So can't use the bare midriff. And then all 4 chin straps secured, and that's another thing, especially after timeouts or to start the game or to start the second half. When these young kids especially come out, we want to make sure that all 4 chin straps are secured, and they do have a mouthpiece equipped. In Rule 155, if you can look at this, we do not assess an unsportsmanlike conduct foul to a coach. It says when any required player equipment is missing or worn improperly, an official's timeout shall be declared. You just look at me, whistle, beep, 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 beep. Number 7, do you have a mouthpiece? No, I don't. Okay, politely, hey coach, we need to get a mouthpiece for 7. Don't be antagonistic. So we are there to facilitate the game. That's one of the 3 reasons we're there. And we facilitate the game like Chick-fil-A employees. We don't, just because we have stripes and have positional authority doesn't mean that we act in a way that is adversarial. If the missing or improperly worn equipment is detected during the down or subsequent dead ball action related without being directly attributable to a foul, blah, 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 we send the player off. It used to be that in some cases the coach was charged with an unsportsmanlike conduct foul. We don't do that anymore. So that's 155. If you have a highlighter, I would highlight that and go back and read it. Any questions about Rule 1? This is wave top. A lot of the Rule 1 is like the football has to have so many dimples and it has to weigh so much and it has to have this pressure and these, Oh, by the way, NFHS marking is important. I didn't put that on here, but the footballs must have an NFHS marking. And I'm going to confess a sin right now. My son played for Rampart, and he was the long snapper, and he brought a football home, and I still have it. And he graduated in 2002, or his last season was 2002. I have video of Mark officiating his games. It has an NFHS mark on it. It also has an NC2A mark on it. But it has to say NFHS. Now, when you do the sub-varsity games, 5th and 6th grade, 7th and 8th are smaller, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're smaller. Mark lets them use Nerf balls, right? Sure.
Let's play.
Yeah. TCA was guilty of using a kicking ball, and Mark's umpire took his pen and wrote NFHS on it. Is that right, Kurt?
I don't remember this. No knowledge of this.
Okay. All right. Rule 2. That's your vocabulary. This is your vocabulary. So what I would ask you to do is, if you have any questions about the rules book, start in Rule 2 to see if there is a definition of the rule. And I'm going to go really fast through these. The dead ball is a ball not in play. So we have intervals. There is a live ball interview interval. And how does the ball become live? It's free kicked or snapped, right? So there are 2 ways to make the ball live. Everything else is dead ball. And when we talk about mechanics, when Eric talks about mechanics, dead ball officiating is one of your greatest jobs. Is when the ball's live, it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds, and then there's up to 40 seconds, and you make your money in that 40-second period. A loose ball is a pass, fumble, or kick. So we talk about loose ball in Rule 2, and oh, by the way, if you're following along, I'm kind of sort of going in alphabetical order. So if you're following along, and I'm going to skip over some of the definitions. But the loose ball is important because in Rule 10, when we talk about penalty enforcement, on page 80, it says Rule 10 and Section 3 talks about types of plays: a loose ball play, a running play, an end of the run. So we have a loose ball play and we have a loose ball, and those are 2 separate things. So it's important to know our vocabulary. Words matter, and it's important to know the definition of words. Batting. What is the most important, other than the word batting, what's the most important word in this definition? Intentional. If the ball is hit with the hand or the elbow or something like that and it's unintentional, the player has not batted the ball. So when it's intentional, that is where we can use the word batting. The kicking is the same. If the coach said he kicked the ball, kicking is an intentional act. So I'll say to the coach, Coach, the player struck the ball with his foot unintentionally. By rule, he did not kick the ball. So batting is an intentional act, and it's important because there is a foul for batting a ball in certain circumstances, and batting the ball in other circumstances is not a foul. So, for example, Team B can bat a pass in any direction for any reason. They can bat the ball. Team A can bat the ball as long as it's not a backward pass batted forward. Thank you, James. Thank you, Kate Linda.
Have a good evening.
Team K can bat a scrimmage kick toward its own goal line in certain circumstances. But in other circumstances, they can't. So, for example, a scrimmage kick, if there's a Team R player in position to catch the ball, Team K cannot bat the ball in flight. You will eventually know all of these facts when you study. Okay, now let's look at blocking. It is conceivably true that on every football play since the beginning of time, there has been a foul for holding or not blocking properly, because by rule, if you look at blocking and you look at the strict definition of blocking, the blocker has to have his hands and arms inside the torso, and the opponent that he's blocking, he can't have his hands outside of the torso. How does that happen on any given football play? There is a video on the Art of Officiating website where I talk about offensive holding and we talk about the nuances, the art of officiating. We're not going to throw a flag on every play. So Mark and Ray Lutz, who passed away a few years ago, Mark is my mentor. Ray Lutz was a beloved mentor. And Ray used to teach me components of holding. Demonstrated restriction at the point of attack that impacts the play. And I will remember him saying that, his tone of voice, his voice inflection as he spoke to me about that. So when we look at blocking, the definition matters, but there has to be an art of officiating. That's what I will say. So look at blocking. The by rule definitions are very precise. There are blocking below the waist, chop block, blindside block. Remember I told you that the rule is not complete in one section. So if you look on page 29 at the top in Article 10, it says a blindside block is a block against an opponent other than the runner who does not see the blocker approaching. That definition is incomplete. You have to go all the way to Rule 9 on page 74 and look at the letter N at the top, and it says that it's illegal personal contact to execute a blindside block outside the free blocking zone with forceful contact unless initiated with open hands. So those are three more components of the blindside block definition. So now we have opponent. The blocked player cannot see the opponent approaching, must be with open hands, forceful contact, which we say in many cases the blocked player is knocked to the ground, and it's in the free blocking, or outside of the free blocking zone. It's just brute force memorization. It's getting in the rules book and getting a mentor, somebody that you can talk to, or a buddy, where it's geeky, yes, but you send an email and go, hey, I just thought of this play, what do you think? Or I was watching this game this high school play on YouTube, I'm going to give you a shameless plug. If you go to YouTube and you do @Art of Officiating, I published weekly dozen videos last year. After every week, I had 12 videos of mostly our crews, and I dissected them, and I showed the video, and I did my best, and I said, okay, this is how that officiating crew officiated this play. Okay, a catch definition, and catch is very nuanced. One foot in bounds for NFHS, but if touching the ball causes the ball to become dead, securing the ball has no significance. Just like in basketball, if a football player goes out of bounds and then jumps in the air and touches the ball and has not reestablished back in bounds, by the way, there are rules for either being blocked out of bounds, going out of bounds intentionally, or going out of bounds unintentionally. That's pretty nuanced. Clipping and blocking the back are definitions. I'm not going to cover them now. Eric is going to cover them on the 22nd-ish. And there's also videos on the Art of Officiating website. If you walk onto the field without either listening to Eric or watching the videos, or at least reading the rules book, I will say you're wrong, because we owe it to the coaches to be able to know the precise definitions of these fouls. We have two types of conferences. Yes, sir.
Just on the catch definition, I just imagine the scenario right there, so I'm picturing, so say Team A throws the ball and Team B player steps out of bounds before he jumps up and bats it. He bats it in bounds and Team A catches it. The ball is dead because Team B touched it when he was out of
So
bounds.
who went out of bounds first?
Team B batted it, but their step was out of bounds.
So were they out of bounds when they batted the ball?
No, they jumped in the air.
Were they out of bounds and then they jumped in the air?
Yeah.
The ball is dead as soon as he
As soon as
touches the
it's
ball.
touched.
Yep.
Okay.
Because he needs to reestablish both feet in bounds before he can legally bat the ball. He can bat the ball is just dead. There is no foul. Okay,
Both feet?
I'm sorry?
Both feet?
Both feet in bounds,
But you
yes.
have to have a foot in with no other part being out of bounds.
That is a good question, Mark. Do you mind with one of you?
Eric's on it.
Eric's on it, okay. See if, yeah, the 110 millionth time I've been corrected. Thank you, Mark. All right, conferences. Conferences are important. Every team has 3 timeouts per half. And we can also have conferences if we have if there's an official timeout for multiple reasons. Most of the time now, the players will go to the sideline, almost without exception. Those conferences must be between the 25-yard line, or not between the 25 and the goal line, and it has to be inside of between the numbers and the sideline. I want to make sure I say inside, outside properly. If the conference is outside the 9-yard mark between the 25s, you can have multiple coaches. If it's between the 9-yard mark, where the coach comes onto the field, there can be one coach and one coach only. That's it. Now, we're not going to flag a head coach for unsportsmanlike conduct. We're not. We're going to say, Coach, I need one of you to go off the field, please. Chick-fil-A. Eric, what do you got? Oh, not yet?
No.
Okay, it looked like you were satisfied. Okay, encroachment in high school is a dead ball foul. There is a video on the Art of Officiating website about encroachment and false starts. Unlike NC2A, the player cannot encroach and come back. Mark, what'd you find?
I was conferring with my.
Okay, can one of you raise the hand when you find it? Thank you. All right.
Interrupt.
So as soon as encroachment happens, we blow it dead, and the ball, we don't blow it dead, the ball remains dead, and we blow our whistles to indicate that the ball will remain dead. Thank you, Walt. Are you good?
Yeah, your keys are in the box.
Okay, thank you. Fighting is a combative manner unrelated to football. And fighting includes swinging and missing. So you don't have to be Oscar De La Hoya or Sugar Ray Leonard or Roberto Hands of Stone Duran. If you swing and you miss, it's fighting. If you kick, and then there are all the great things about, well, I'm going to shove you away with my open hand, I don't consider that fighting. There are acts of aggression that, by rule, we want to say, okay, let's get together and let's discuss what happened. At Harrison High School, I was working, the head linesman, Mark, was the white hat, and two players started swinging at each other. And by God's grace, I didn't blow an inadvertent whistle because the ball went way over there, and I've got two players duking it out here. And I wanted to blow my whistle, but the ball was live, and so got them broken up. I went to talk to Mark, and I'm like, they're doing this as I'm reporting the foul. And he says, quit swinging your arms. Just stand with your arms by your side and talk to me. You don't remember that. I do. But yeah, they were fighting. They were swinging at each other. Okay, there is a formations, a legal formation video. Yes, sir.
Would it still be a penalty if they are fighting after the game is ended? So let's say if we're walking off and they get chippy towards the end, would it still be any retaliation?
So the question is, what is the penalty when the game is over and we are running off of the field, not looking at anybody or anything, heading toward the end zone, running as fast as we can, and there's a fight that happens over here? We do not, we keep going. So the game administrator, the coaches, the athletic directors will take care of it.
I got one more question, Mark.
Yes, sir.
You know, in certain situations, close game, emotions is running high. You know how you get that player that the ball is dead, but he still, drives him to the ground, or he's still, you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's not considered fighting, correct?
No, because that would be a football. The question is, drive them to the ground. There is a personal foul video on the Art of Officiating website. By the way, I do not get paid for clicks or anything. There's a video about personal fouls, and personal fouls would be something that you want to discuss with your mentor. And you want to say, what about this? What about that? I had this in my game. If you have a game and you don't talk to anybody, you are teaching yourself. And unless you are smart guys, don't teach yourself. Talk to somebody else and discuss it and have that conversation, please. So to answer your question, that is most likely a personal foul. Now there could be flagrant personal fouls. Those are also, you can eject a player for a flagrant personal foul. But most of the time, that kind of aggression is a personal foul. And it's a 15-yard penalty, live ball or dead ball, depending on when it happened. So please look at formations and illegal formations, because as a wing, that is like one of your top 10 things that you're going to look for, and you need to know it. You need to know what an illegal formation looks like. Okay, so we're going to, this next week, you're going to be watching all of these videos that I'm talking about. Now, forward progress. Ray Lutz said, and tell me if I misquote this, forward progress is the wing's most important product. Close enough?
Close, it's our most important product.
Forward progress are,
Forward progress is our most important product.
got it, okay. And as a wing, you are going to participate in that. So Tim, could you bring up that video,
Yep.
please? All right, stop it. Stop it. Okay. Now, in the rule book, we have rules that are sentences in black and white, words matter. We also have other words that we use when describing a play to help us provide more color and more depth to a rules book. And one of the words that we use for forward progress is voluntary and involuntary. So if you look at the definition of forward progress, let me start with that. In Rule 2, under F, it says, forward progress is the end of advancement of the ball toward the opponent's goal in a runner's possession, or the forwardmost point of the ball when it is fumbled out of bounds and it determines the dead ball spot, which is no longer true. They didn't fix that. So notice you didn't see the word voluntary or involuntary, but we use those words to help us provide some color to the definition. So this is Devin Bauman, head linesman on my crew. Go ahead and run it, Tim, and if you could please, when he catches the ball, freeze it. And stop. Okay, so the ball is caught on the, by the way, what's the name of the yard line?
A40 plus.
The A40. So if I say the ball's caught on the A40, we write it A-40. And I don't know what this player's number is. That's B56. So when you're doing your test, that's B56, that's B7, that's B1. Whatever that number is, that's A, whatever number without a dash. He possesses the ball. The ball is snapped on the A36. It's 1st and 10. The line to gain is the A46. And he catches it on the A40. Now, can you run it slowly, Tim?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
I'm pretty sure I can.
You can run it normal. Stop. Okay, what did that runner do?
Voluntarily.
He voluntarily retreated. And we don't see those words in the rule book, but that helps us discuss what happened. So he voluntarily retreated. So do we have forward progress yet?
No.
No. Now he is going to be hit, and it doesn't have to be a wrap-up tackle. It could be a severe blow where that runner's forward progress is involuntarily stopped. So go ahead and run it, Tim, and stop it. Now this is one of the mistakes that new officials make a lot, and if you can master this, you are amazing. Is properly marking forward progress. What is the temptation? We want to mark forward progress where the runner is down, where he ends up landing on the ground, which is going to be way back here. But note, here is the football official, and note what he does. Go. And by the way, stop it for a second. This was before our mechanic of raising our hand to indicate the 40-second play clock should start. And notice he's using a finger whistle. So, but you can't hear him, but he's yelling. He's yelling. Our voice is a signal. Forward progress, forward here, forward progress here. This is where he judged that runner's forward progress was involuntarily stopped. Not back here. A new official or a non-savvy official might come all the way back and square off and mark forward progress on the 30-yard line, which would be incorrect.
834?
I'm sorry?
Wouldn't it be 834, 835?
Okay, so let's go ahead and play it from the beginning.
And then real quick before you start, I just want to make sure I understand it. He's in motion, but he's not 5 yards off the ball. Correct?
Yeah, let's not go there. Let's not go there. Keep going. This is a legal, it's legal when the ball is snapped. I'll answer your question when you, okay, retreat, 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 boom, so it's probably here.
I'll say the 36.
So is he pretty good?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, when we watch film on huddle, we may see we're off by a yard or two. Sometimes it does matter. So to answer your question, he started as a back. He doesn't have to be 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. If he started as a lineman, he would have to be 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. That's a very good question. All right, let's go back to the slides. Okay, the free blocking zone is a definition you need to know. The free blocking zone matters because some blocks are legal inside of the free blocking zone. When we talk about when you become a white hat, a referee, and you rule on an illegal forward pass or intentional grounding. So the size of the free blocking zone is 4 yards beyond and behind the ball and 3 yards, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. 3 yards beyond and behind the ball and 4 yards on each side of the ball. Now, this 3 yards is a little bit more easier to gauge. These 4 yards, there may be a little bit of Kentucky windage, and that's why in varsity games, the umpire will often go into the backfield and look at formations. Do the players come to the line and do this with their hands because they're wide? Or are they like Monarch where they're almost shoulder to shoulder? And that will help us identify especially tight ends or unbalanced formations to see, are those players in the free blocking zone at the snap? It matters. When the ball leaves the zone, free blocking zone disintegrates. Fouls like blocking below the waist, we have very specific rules. It's safety, but blocking below the waist is legal when it's a lineman blocking another lineman who is on, they're both on the line at the snap, and they're both in the free blocking zone at the snap, and that block is immediate. And that all matters. A fumble. Notice loss of player possession. So if the center snaps the ball and it goes on the ground and it goes, center snaps the ball, the quarterback never possesses it, and it just rolls along the ground, has the center fumbled the ball? No, because the snap was not possessed. How do you know I love you, each and every one of you in this room? How do you know I love you? Because these words are in yellow, and this is a question on your 80-question true-false test. And I want to bring it up because it is a nuanced question. When the ball is snapped, typically the quarterback will possess the ball. As soon as he possesses the ball, if he loses player possession, it's called a fumble. If the ball is snapped and nobody possesses it, and there's an attempt to pick it up, and it's not successful, that is called a muff. There's a difference between a muff and a fumble, and that is especially important when we have kicks. Because Team K cannot advance a kick. But if Team R possesses the ball and then fumbles, Team K can pick up the ball and run it in for a touchdown. If Team R muffs the kick and it's rolling on the ground, Team K can possess it and next snap it, they just can't advance it. And it's important. So, loss of player possession other than handing, passing, or a legal kick. So, the difference between a fumble and a muff. There is illegal helmet contact, and we will discuss this, in your crew will discuss it. Players wear a helmet on purpose to protect their craniums, but they are not allowed to butt block, face tackle, or spear. And we don't, the college and NFL is different than high school. So we want to be careful that the word targeting is in the rules book twice, but we don't want to use the word targeting around players and coaches. If we have to repeat that word, we probably want to be together, whispering, and not saying it out loud, because players, fans, and coaches, they hear the word targeting and they think, well, he has to be ejected, and that is not a true statement. It is not a foul to have 12 in the huddle. It's not a foul, and coaches will want it to be a foul. It's not. The substitution rule is that when a player comes onto the field and indicates to another player that he is replacing that player has how many seconds? 3 seconds to begin to leave the field. Do we have a stopwatch? No. Count. By the way, hey, coach, you got one too many. Get one off. Coach, you got one too many. Because in sub-varsity, do these kids, are they trying to deceive the opponent? So part of facilitating the game is not throwing the flag because 4 seconds after the player was substituted for, they don't leave the field. So I got my flag here. I'm going to whip it at you. Because that's a foul. So there's an art of officiating. There's also a website called Art of Officiating. All right.
Really?
The definition of hurdling. This is very uncommon. But this is one of the definitions where you need to brute force memorize components. You have to. Because if you get one of the components wrong and you think it's hurdling, it's probably not. So note, it says, opponent who is contacting the ground with no part of his body except one or both feet. So if the opponent is knees on the ground or one hand on the ground and the runner goes over, that's not hurdling. If the runner does a Superman or a Jimmy Superfly Snuka, does anybody know who that is? Of course, old people. That's not hurdling. So this definition, like a horse collar tackle, like post-scrimmage kick enforcement, there are multiple components that you need to know, and that's why focused, detailed, rolling your sleeves up study is important. So next week, if I said, what are the components of something, that you don't start the answer with I think or I'm pretty sure, but you know it. What's key word here? Intentional. So if there is a loose ball, the ball has been fumbled and 2 players are racing after it, and one of the players unintentionally strikes the ball with his foot, did he kick the ball? No, he did not. Will the coach yell at you because he kicked the ball?
Yes.
Yes. I will never use the word kick in a sentence. I'll say, Coach, in my judgment, the player unintentionally struck the ball with his foot. By rule, that is not a foul. I did not see an intentional act. And you use those words on purpose. You say, by rule, kicking is an intentional act, intentionally striking. In my judgment, he did not intentionally strike the ball. There is a definition of the line of scrimmage. Here's our muff. So it says the touching of a loose ball in an unsuccessful attempt to secure possession. The ball is loose, players are scrambling after it, and a player touches it to try to regain possession or gain possession, and he doesn't possess the ball. That is called a muff. When we talk about the neutral zone, there are 2 neutral zones. This is where I get to use my illegal football. One of the neutral zones. Somebody tell me the length of one of the neutral zones.
Football.
The length of the football. So let's say the ball's going in this direction. Team A, their line of scrimmage is the butt end of the ball. And by the way, how many players can be in the neutral zone? How many? 1, and that player is the snapper. We're going in this direction. This is Team B's line of scrimmage. Between this is the neutral zone. And no part of any player other than the center. And oh, by the way, interpretation is linemen, if they point, their hand can go into that magical area without a foul. But we don't want them, physically, helmet, knee, foot, because that gives them a competitive advantage, and it's a foul by rule. So this is a definition of a neutral zone. There's also an expanded neutral zone, which is how many yards?
2 yards.
2 yards. And the expanded neutral zone is designed for linemen to be able to legally block downfield during passing plays. There is a second neutral zone that is for free kicks. And how big is that?
10 yards.
10 yards. Where are we kicking it without any fouls?
40.
The K40. And so what is Team K's what word am I trying to say? What is Team
Restraining.
K's
Restraining line.
restraining line? Thank you.
40 to B.
The K40 is their restraining line. And what is Team R's restraining line?
B50.
Midfield. And there is a 10-yard gap between those two restraining lines. And that is important for blocking on free kicks and for first touching on free kicks. So there are 2 neutral zones. Just like there are 2 legal scrimmage formations. I'm sorry, legal scrimmage kick formations. So just remember 2 neutral zones. One of them is this long, and the other one is 10 yards. I do this every single time.
You said it there on the book.
I did? Okay, thank you. All right. Out of bounds. If any part of the person, and this is especially true if we have a loose ball near the sideline and a player, any part of their body is touching the sideline and then they touch the football, what is true about the football?
Dead.
The ball is dead by rule, because by rule, the player touching anything other than another player that is on or outside the sideline or end line, that ball is out of bounds. Eric, do you have something for us? Or not yet?
We have something. for
Okay,
you.
go ahead.
Yes. The second part of Article 1 of the out of bounds rule basically states that a player remains out of bounds until returning to the field with any body part touching the field and no body part touching out of bounds.
Thank you, Mark.
Support that.
That is why Mark is the king. I am the clown jester. Mark has me just for entertainment. So does everybody understand now that both feet don't have to be in bounds? 1 foot, as long as no other part of the body is touching out of bounds. Thank you. Thank you for finding that. All right. A ball in player possession is out of bounds when, a loose ball is out of bounds when. I don't want to get into, what I'm doing is, I'm kind of like trying to give you the candy for free. And I say, would you like this piece of candy? It's free. And I give it to you, and then you say, I want another piece. And I say, you've got to go in the rule book and get it yourself. Participation. Any action by a player or non-player that has an influence on the play. In Rule 9, we talk about illegal participation and substitution in Rule 3. So I don't want to go into those nuances now, but just remember part of the definition is an influence on the play. This is important. How do you know I love you?
It's highlighted.
It's highlighted. Is this a question? Yes. I told George I wouldn't do this, but I'm doing it. Only a few times. A forward pass, initial direction toward the opponent's end line. A backward pass, we don't say a lateral, that's not in the rules book. Initial direction parallel with or toward the runner's end line. And when in doubt, is a pass forward or backward? Forward. Forward. No cheap turnovers, no cheap scores. There are also player designations. You must know what makes a player a back. Because we can have no more than 4 players in the backfield. There can be no more than 4 backs. And so a player is a back when no part of their helmet or body intersects or penetrates the waist of the nearest lineman. And a player is a lineman when part of their body intersects the waist of the snapper. So that right tackle who wants to get a head start on a pass block, his helmet or foot has to penetrate the waist of the snapper. He can't cheat. and then a back, especially when they're trying to confuse on purpose the defense, and they have players lined up, and who's the back? Who's eligible? Who's legally in the backfield, and who is legally on the line? So please take a look at all of these player designations. The ready for play, we mark the ball ready for play in one of two ways. Either the referee blows a ready for play, or ready for play with the whistle. 25-second play clock. Or we started with a 40-second play clock years ago, where an official, typically the umpire, puts the ball down and then backs away to his or her position. Those are two ways to mark the ball ready for play. Simultaneous recovery or catch. If Team A throws a pass downfield and A and B simultaneously possess the ball, what's the status of the ball? What is it?
Return to Team
I can't hear.
A. It goes back to Team A.
But what's the status of the ball? Is it still live or is it dead?
Dead.
Simultaneous possession, the ball is automatically dead. By rule. Simultaneous possession. If it is 4th down and 10, and Team A throws the ball for 5 yards. So let's say the ball snapped on the A20, and the A30 is the line to gain, and it's 4th down, and a Team A player and a Team R player simultaneously possess the ball. What's the status of the ball? It's dead. Whose ball is it?
TV.
Team A.
Team A, but,
They switch.
say it, Lily,
Well, that's the end of their 4th down.
they did not reach the line to gain.
Line to gain.
So that is actually in the rules book. We all know it, like intuitively, that Team B will next snap the ball. But by rule, words matter. Team A, it's their ball, but in the rules it says they have to reach the line to gain in 4 downs or else the ball belongs to Team B. With Team R, if there's a free kick or a scrimmage kick and the ball simultaneously possessed by K and R, the ball belongs to R. There is a video in the Art of Officiating website, Illegal Shift. Please watch that. Snap infraction, false start and snap infraction, please watch that. Note that the snap must be quick and continuous, and the ball must leave the snapper's hand. So I do have video of the snapper. He was correct. He snapped the ball and the quarterback forgot the snap count. So the quarterback did not immediately possess the ball. By rule, that is an illegal snap or a snap infraction. If you have a swinging gate, we call it a swinging gate, where on a try, typically on a try, unless you're Boise State, and then you can do it wherever you want. There are a lot of players toward the side of the field, and the snapper's there by himself. He doesn't have to snap the ball between his legs. As a lineman, his shoulders must be parallel to the opponent's goal line, and by interpretation, we give them 45 degrees by interpretation. He doesn't have to snap between his legs, but his snap has to be continuous, and so he cannot pick up the ball and then throw it, because that's not continuous. Tripping. What's the word?
Intentional.
Intentional. It used to be true that you could trip the runner. Safety, let's not trip the runner. So there can be no tripping even the runner. All right, that was rule 2. Real fast. Sorry, Eric, I'm about 10 minutes behind. We're going to go down to the field. I'm going to finish this real quick. We're going to talk about the whistle. Eric's going to take you down to the field to talk about the whistle. Then we're going to come back up here and go as far as we can. This is not in the rules book, but since you're going to be doing a lot of, like even 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th, there are different timing standards for sub-varsity. In Colorado Springs, we run our sub-varsity at 10 minutes. In Denver, they run it at 12. So when Denver teams come down here to Colorado Springs, there's always parents getting mad at us But 12 minutes for varsity. Intermission, it's whatever the coaches want for sub-varsity. So your white hat, when I'm white hatting sub-varsity, I'll say to the coach, we're gonna run 8-minute quarters for 8th grade. How much time would you like for halftime? And then I go to the other coach and say, we're gonna go with 8 minutes halftime. Is that okay with you? Notice, varsity is 15 minutes unless it's homecoming. I've been doing football now for 17 years. I have never been elected homecoming king. So whenever I do a homecoming game, I always prepare myself for rejection and sadness. Notice that by rule, there is a mandatory 3-minute warm-up following whatever time you decide for the halftime intermission. And what is the key word?
Finish.
Mandatory. Mandatory. Don't go 2 minutes and 59 seconds. Because David was talking about the whole crew got sued. If you shorten that mandatory 3 minutes and the kid gets his leg broken on the second half kickoff, the lawyer will say how much time did the officiating crew allow for the warm-up. Do the players have to warm up? No. Do we have to give them the 3 minutes? Yes. So if you're on the game and your white hat tries to start the game early, figure out a way to slow the game down. Hey, I got a rock in my shoe, I need to get it out. Or something. Because we need to give the team 3 minutes. Untimed down, in Rule 3, we talk about untimed down. That is another nuance where there are certain circumstances where a team will be afforded an untimed down. For example, it's the last play of the first half and there's a foul and the foul is accepted. Then we would march off the yardage and then we would have one untimed down. So there's a lot of nuances in that conversation. We don't have untimed down for like if illegal forward pass or something like that, where the penalty enforcement would include a loss of down. We start and stop the game clock on the snap and on the ready for play. And if you look in Rule 3, this is brute force memorization. And this will be in your test. So you need to know where to go in Rule 3. Rule 3 has a section for starting and stopping the game clock. So if you look on page 44, it says Section 4, starting and stopping the game clock. The game clock will start with the ready for play, and it gives you some examples. And then the game clock in Article 3 will start with a snap. It gives you examples. The game clock shall be stopped when. It gives you examples. And then if you turn the page to page 48, it talks about the play clock. There is a 25-second and a 40-second play clock. Turn 2 pages, sorry, not 1. So there may be a question and say, here's what happened. Do we start it on the snap or the ready for play? And is it a 25-second or a 40-second game clock? So go into the rule book and say, one of these happened, I'm going to read it. And yes, that did happen, and that tells me to start on the 40 and not the 25 or vice versa. So starting the game clock on the snap. Like for example, if a runner goes into the end zone and scores a touchdown, but there's a flag for holding, and we bring it back because the ball ended up in the end zone, we start the game clock on the snap, not the ready. And then on the ready for play. So if it's second down and 10, and a player goes 3 yards and gets injured, and we have an official's timeout, and they come on and they attend to the player and bring them off, then the white hat is going to go, Tim, are we starting it on the ready, right? Tim goes, yes. And then you start it on the ready. 3 timeouts per half, 1 minute duration. You can take all 3 of them in succession if you want. And unlike basketball, it is not a foul for requesting excessive timeouts. We had a couple of years ago, unfortunate situation where a team was allowed to kick a game-winning field goal because the coach attempted, and I think he knew, but he attempted to request a 4th timeout, and while they had the discussion, he got his kicking team onto the field and lined up. And they kicked the game-winning field goal. So in Colorado, we now have the referee go to the coach, say, Coach, you are out of timeouts. And we want to make sure the wing is there as well. So the referee and the wing, you're out of timeouts, Coach, and then the coach goes, timeout, timeout. And as a wing, I'd go, Coach, you're out, you're out. I want a timeout! Coach, you're out. I'm going to try to influence you with my volume. Any Army in here? Calm by decibel, right? Calm by decibel. All right. Here's on time down. We talked about the 25 and 40. For substitution, replaced players must begin to leave the field within 3 seconds. Give them grace. The 3rd and 4th graders, the coaches are going to be on the field, or a coach. 5th and 6th graders may not even know their own name. Just give them grace. They must leave on their side of the field and begin to go directly to the team box. So this is not, if the player goes off and starts to run toward the team box and the ball is snapped, it's not a foul. They don't have to physically be in the team box. And then illegal substitution can be live ball or dead ball. So if you're on the sideline and you're counting your sideline, meaning my team's on defense and I count 12. Hey coach, you got one too many, sir. Get one off, get one off. And the snap is imminent, then the referee or the umpire or the back judge will blow it dead. If they don't blow it dead and you count 12 and you count again and you've got 12 and the snap is imminent, you blow it dead. That's an illegal substitution. The ball remains dead. It's 5 yards. If a player starts to try to come off of the field, our interpretation in Colorado is if their next step was going to get them off the field, they're good. In a 5th or 6th or 7th or 8th grade game, I'm not going to be as autocratic there. And if the coach yells at me, I'd say, Coach, they're not trying to gain an advantage. That player was confused. Bless his heart, if you're from the South. Bless his heart. We'll do the same for you, Coach. Well, we practiced this all week. And we want to get them with 12 players on the field. It's like, got it, Coach. I understand. Thank you. And the player doesn't participate. So if you have 12 players that actually participate, then that's bad. Because it's now illegal participation, and it's 15 yards, not 5. Okay. We're going to talk about the whistle. I'm going to do it for 5 minutes, and then we're going to take a break and go downstairs. Is that cool, Eric? Okay. We already said, Rule 2, remember I said you will see rules that are repeated, and you have to look in multiple areas of the rules book sometimes to get the full story. But the ball becomes live by a free kick or a snap. The ball is dead in Rule 3. The ball is dead when? So there's a whole list of things. The ball is dead. We do not blow the whistle to make the ball become dead. If we do that, that is called an inadvertent whistle, and that is bad. That is bad. I had an inadvertent whistle in my second playoff game with Mark Van Gampler as the white hat, and I'm still ashamed. And I can tell you a story later. Mark was very gracious to me, but I felt like a complete idiot. We indicate the ball is dead by rule by blowing our whistle. There is a video on the Art of Fishing website called The Official's Whistle. What do I not like? A chirp. Chirp. And a lot of cool officials, they blow their whistle. Beep. Well, we indicate the ball is dead by rule or indicate the ready for play by blowing our whistle. If we're just going to chirp, don't even bother to blow your whistle. Because the chirp is, who can hear it? I've got constant ringing in my ears all the time. Because I was in the military, 60 feet underground, babysitting ICBMs, and the motor generator just ran, and I have hearing, it's called tinnitus or tinnitus. I can't hear the darn sure. So blow your whistle 1 second, loud, sustained blast, and Eric's going to talk to you about that. We blow the whistle to indicate the ball's dead by rule. If you can't see the ball, how do you know it's dead by rule? One of my inadvertent whistles was during a fumble, an attempted recovery of a loose ball, and I thought I was protecting the players, and the players were all in this big pig pile, and I blew my whistle, and where was the ball? Outside of the pile. So I talked to John Caricato on the phone, and he said, we don't blow our whistles to protect players. So we need to make sure we see the ball. If a team like Discovery Canyon runs the option skillfully, and the quarterback, you know, it looks like the fullback has the ball and he's dumped 3 yards, and we blow our whistle because we see a bunch of people on the ground, the quarterback is running around the corner unmolested into the end zone, and we blow the whistle. That's bad. So we don't blow the whistles to protect players. Back judges, when you become a back judge and you have a player signal for a fair catch and the ball's coming down and the player is here and there's a bunch of players coming at him, and you blow the whistle when the ball comes here, what is going to happen 100% of the time? The player will what word? Muff the kick. And we blow our whistle. So my inadvertent whistle in the playoff game was on a kickoff where a player signaled for a fair catch. I was the head linesman. The ball squirted through. By God's grace, he recovered it, but we had to re-kick. And I was in awe of my other 4 officials because I was on a playoff game with the icons of the association, and I just blew an inadvertent whistle. It looked like a complete fill in the blank. Yankees fan. Okay. Please watch the wing mechanic. We're going to watch the wing mechanic video this week, but also watch the whistle video. It's like 8 minutes long. Only the covering official should blow the whistle. We should normally, by the way, is it okay to have no whistles? Yes, perfect. If nobody can see the ball, it's okay. On most plays, will we have one official blow the whistle? Yes. If we have, should the umpire ever blow the whistle to indicate the ball's dead by rule? Like once in a trillion years. Because the umpire's not getting forward progress, but if the umpire sees that the runner is down and the ball's dead by rule and the wings don't pick up on it and the referee doesn't pick up on it, then it's okay for the umpire to go, beep, 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 beep. He's down here, the knee was down. Because we're a crew and we get it right together. But most of the time, the umpire may have the whistle in his mouth. If he has a lanyard, he spits it out and he never puts it back in. Or he has a finger whistle and he never puts his whistle in his mouth. Umpires can go an entire game without ever blowing the whistle. Don't blow your whistle if you're not the covering official. So one of my personal pet peeves, other than people not putting their carts away at the grocery store or driving slowly in the left-hand lane, is wings that are on the way opposite side of the field blowing their whistle when the ball's down on their partner's side. So just leave it alone. You should have one whistle. You play until the whistle is a misnomer. You may hear coaches say that. Players are responsible, especially not contacting defenseless receivers. Do not blow your whistle unless you can see the ball. It's okay to have a play without a whistle. And most of the time, you as a wing are going to mark forward progress. You are going to whistle. This is a Ray Lutz. I remember him telling me, let the ball bounce twice. Don't blow you don't have to have a quick whistle. You don't. Now, if a runner's forward progress is stopped and the defensive players lift one leg off of the ground and he's starting to be pushed backward, we get on our whistle. Beep, 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 beep. Play is over, play is over. Strong whistle, about 1 second. Don't chirp. And then Eric will talk to you about the tweet, tweet, tweet. I call it a look at me whistle. Look at me, there's something different. So I'm going to beep, 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 beep.
I do have a question though.
Yes, sir.
So defense has 12. We count, they got 12. And coach recognizes it. And 42, get over here. And so he's in the middle of the field and he's running towards the sideline. Are we supposed to still kill it if we think the ball's about to be snapped?
No.
Okay.
So that is our
And he's-
Colorado,
And he's 3 yards from the sideline and the ball snapped.
then it's a foul.
And that's gonna be the illegal
And-
participation.
No, illegal
That's
substitution.
gonna be illegal substitution, that's still a
Because
5.
he did not influence the play.
Okay.
In our mechanics manual, the back judge, it used to be the wings would make a determination whether or not the player that was coming off on their sideline successfully left the field. In Colorado, the back judge, if they're a 5-person crew, will make that determination. Okay, and this is not an exhaustive list, but the ball is dead by rule for all of these reasons. Forward progress is an important, ball is dead by rule. If a runner's forward progress is involuntarily stopped, so one of the things you might see is a runner is near the sideline, he gets hit, and he gets driven backward out of bounds. The ball is dead when his forward progress is stopped, but it's dead in bounds, and so we don't stop the clock, but the play is over. And those are nuances that you are going to learn. I have made, and there's my witness, I've made every mistake that can conceivably be made on a football field. Please, when you make mistakes, if you like to kick yourself and beat yourself up, you need to figure out how not to do that. When I was in the military, one of my favorite 4-star generals talked about failing forward. And he said, we need to be better at risk taking, we need to go fast, we need to fail forward. When you fail on the football team, and you will fail multiple times every single game, you need to look at that as an opportunity to learn. And I will confess that some of the people on your crew may not have the maturity to communicate well with you. And so you may get some anger, vitriol, sharp words. Take it, say thank you, and then call me or your crew chief. And let us give you a big hug. Because failing is inevitable, and you will learn by failing. You have to fail in this profession to learn. Many times we don't get better by always doing the right thing all the time. So these are all the reasons why the ball is dead by rule. This is a big one. Balls possessed by team R following a fair catch signal. So R signals for a fair catch, muff, we stay off our whistles, and another team R player picks up the ball and starts to run, the ball's dead as soon as he possesses the ball. The ball is possessed by team K beyond the neutral zone during a kick. The ball is possessed, meaning the kick is possessed by team K during a kick. So this implies that the status of the ball is still a kick. As soon as team K possesses a kick, the ball is dead. Helmet comes completely off the runner, not other players. Completely off the runner, not other players. Unfortunately, inadvertent whistles. I told Mark, so we're going to do a role play here. Hey, Mark, I've had 2 inadvertent whistles in my career.
2 that you know of.
Right? Say it again so everybody can hear it.
2 that you know of.
2 that you know of. I'm sure I've had multitude others that just because of good luck, they did not manifest themselves. And then during a try, kick try fails or team B possesses, so team B cannot score during a try. meaning Team A scored a touchdown, and they're either going to try to score another touchdown from the B3 to earn 2 points, or they're going to try to kick a field goal from the B3 to earn 1 point, and the Team B possesses the ball, then the try ends, the ball is dead. When a loose ball goes out of bounds, the out-of-bounds spot is fixed by the yard line where the foremost point of the ball crossed the sideline. That is no longer true. I need to take that out. With this new forward fumble out of bounds, the ball comes back to the spot of the fumble. So if it's 4th down and 10, and Team A, or let's say 4th and 5, and Team A fumbles the ball, then the ball goes out of bounds, forward out of bounds, then the ball is brought back to the spot of the fumble, and that's where Team B will next snap the ball. If the ball is fumbled backward, then it goes out of bounds. That's where Team B will next snap the ball. They did fix the whole safety conversation, so just for your essay, momentum exception, Team B intercepts the ball in the B4, their original momentum takes them into the end zone, and they fumble the ball forward into the field of play and out of bounds. There was a group of rules interpreters that wanted that to be a safety. And the good guys won. So it's not going to be a safety. We already said this once before. And then there are cases where Team A may designate a spot from which the ball is put in play anywhere between the hashes. So most common, opening kickoff, boom, ball goes into the end zone. The umpire grabs the ball, and he puts the ball in the middle of the field, and Team A comes out and goes, hey, can we have the ball on the left hash? Sure. Yeah. Or there's a try, and they want the ball on the right hash, and there's a penalty, and now they want the ball on the left hash. That's okay. So the rules book does talk about when they can put the ball in play anywhere between the hashes. By the way, we're going to stop right at 8. I'm not going to be able to get through all the rules like I wanted to because I talk too much. There are videos online, and I promise I'll put the Rule 8 video online. It's been recorded, I just need to edit the video. So you're responsible for the purposes of passing your 80-question true-false test for the material that we do not cover, because I want Eric to have the full time next week. Eric's going to be the king next week. And there's some important videos you need to watch. So I'm just going to say it again. If you are not watching videos for next week, if you don't watch your videos, you will be way behind everybody. You have no idea what we're talking about. And you're going to look like a fish out of water. So please watch at least the mechanics video, the flag and beanbag video, the illegal formation, the illegal shift, all of those videos, because his time is going to be worthless if you do not prepare yourself for the instruction that he wants to give you. Please. Okay. For Rule 5, every team gets 4 downs to go 10 yards. There's a concept called first touching. This is a concept that I do not want to spend a lot of time on tonight because it's kind of a next level concept, and I don't want to give you so much that you have no brain bites left. So we talk about first touching. We have first touching during a scrimmage kick. We have first touching during a free kick. First touching is relevant in the neutral zone during a free kick, and it's relevant for a scrimmage kick beyond the neutral zone to the opponent's goal line, anywhere in that area. And essentially it means that if Team K touches the ball, we are going to throw our beanbag, our magical beanbag. And that spot will never be a penalty enforcement spot, but it may be a spot where Team R elects to next snap the ball. That's called first touching. This is important. We always and I use the word always, there's always exceptions to the word always. We want to try to start a brand new possession on a stripe, meaning a yard line. Why do we do that? Why?
The chains.
We want to stretch the chains and have 10 yards between the A32 and the A42.
It's also good penalty enforcement.
Right. He said for penalty enforcement. Now, there are some exceptions. If Team A is trying to gain a first down and the ball is stopped short of the line to gain, and on a turf field, it's clear that the ball is short of the line to gain, and so the referee says first down in the other direction, and then we move the football to try to put the nose of the ball on a stripe, and it makes it go beyond the line to gain, the coach would rightly be able to have a cow on the field. So that is an exception to starting a new possession on a stripe. We have fouls that result in an automatic first down. There are 4 fouls, they're all roughing. So who cannot be roughed? Passer, kicker, snapper, holder. So you said all 4. There's no other foul other than roughing the passer, snapper, holder, kicker. Automatic first down. That's it. Offensive pass interference or defensive pass interference used to be automatic. I said offensive first. Automatic loss of down and automatic first down? No, no longer. And it's been long enough time to where coaches no longer ask for it. There are 4 fouls that are loss of down. And my brain bites are starting to shrivel. Illegal forward handing, illegal forward pass, including intentional grounding, or is that? No, so illegal forward pass meaning the passer by rule has to have both feet in or behind the neutral zone for it to be illegal forward pass. So illegal forward handing, illegal forward pass, intentional grounding, and
Illegal touching.
illegal touching are the loss of down fouls. Thank you, Tim. All right. Most of the time a down will be replayed. So most of the time, holding, offense number 78, 10 yards from the previous spot, replay second down. That's replay. If the ball's dead and we say encroachment, defense number 45, 5-yard penalty, remains second down. So it's either replay or remains most of the time. In section 3, the line to gain and measurements, next week, we're going to bring the chains out. And there is, finish my sentence please.
Videos.
A video on the Art of Officiating website called Chains and Measurements. You, as a wing, are going to be either a line judge or a linesman. Don't show up and go, I just want to be an umpire. We don't do that around here. So you will be a wing, and what is the percentage that you will be a head linesman?
50%.
50%. Well, probably less than 50 because I would rather have, if there's a seasoned, like a second or third year guy, and it's your first game, I'd rather have that person on the chains and you as the line judge. But, it's up to your crew chief who does the scheduling. You will eventually be on the chains. And in a sub-varsity game with a new official on the chains, that is a recipe for confusion. If you watch my video and you think about it and you understand the concepts and the precepts and you memorize a briefing to the crew and you do a sub-varsity game, you're still possibly going to have issues because you're not going to have savvy chain crew members. So be as good as you can be so that you can make up the difference. So Section 3 talks about chains and measurements. Next week, we're gonna have a lesson. We're gonna bring chains out. But again, if you haven't watched the video, you're behind. And we want to be redundant. We want you to watch the video and have the conversation because it's that important. If you don't, you deserve a crappy experience on the chains. I said that in jest. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. All right, rule 6 is kicking. We're going to kick from the K40. After a safety, we're going to kick from the K20. You can kick from a tee or punt after a safety. What is the benefit of punting?
Maybe a better punter than a kicker. That's something they have to do.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I mean, typically,
Depends on your kicker.
it used to be more common that you could punt the ball farther and you could free kick it. It's always just one of those things that when you punt the ball, you're always at least 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and so if they say it's a 50-yard punt, you really kicked it 60 yards.
Okay. All right, so if the free kick goes out of bounds untouched by R, there are 4 rules book options. One of them should be taken out.
Yeah.
It's dumb. It will never happen. So there are 3 valid options. One of them is a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and re-kick. So now we're kicking from the K35. The second one is a 5-yard penalty from the succeeding spot, and that means where the ball goes out of bounds. And the third one is a 25-yard, you place the ball 25 yards beyond the previous spot. So you got to do math in public, which I suck at math in public, especially when I do a 6-man game at Deer Trail and the Team K kicks the ball out of bounds and I'm like so freaking confused. I said to the coach, can you please help me do my math? Because I have no idea what's going on here. So let's say the ball is kicked out of bounds on the the R30. You want to give the coach 2 of the 3 options. And one of the techniques is you give the coach the option you want him to select first. For example, coach, would you like the ball on the X number yard line? You don't say, coach, would you like to re-kick or take the ball? You say, coach, would you like the ball here? And he'll say, no, I want to move him back and re-kick. Okay, got it. So let's say the ball is kicked out of bounds on the R30. Which option would that coach select?
2 are the same.
Okay, who said it? You're good at math, LA? Why are they the same?
Because, the 25 yards would take you down to the 35-yard line, and
Okay.
if it's how the ball went out at the 30, then you give them 5 yards from the succeeding spot.
Okay, so true or false, after every free kick, if the ball goes out of bounds, one of the options is to next snap the ball on the R35.
False.
False, why?
Because it could go out of bounds at the 40.
No, okay, let's say the ball goes out of bounds on the R5. It goes out of bounds way the heck down the field.
Okay.
True or false? Following every free kick, if the ball goes out of bounds on the R5, one of the options will always be to next snap the ball on the R35.
Yes.
True if the kick's from the 40. Right.
So,
Yeah.
we as football officials sometimes we use brain bites, right, to load information, and sometimes we think R35, R35, R35. Well, the rules book says 25 yards beyond the previous spot. Following a safety, following any 5, 10, 15-yard penalty where the ball is now re-kicked from non-K40, we have to do the math. And I've had football officials go, no, it's the R35. I said, following a safety? Yeah, it's the R35. It's the R35. It's like, nope, gotta add 25. Okay, if R touches the ball and it goes out of bounds, the ball is put in play at the inbound spot. And this is very important. I don't know if it's on the test or not, could be. K can never touch a free kick in flight. Is that true in college?
No.
In college, they can touch a free kick in flight if Team R is not in position. So they'll see it on a Saturday, and it's talked about on social media, and then it happens in high school and we flag it and the coaches go nuts. So Team K cannot touch a free kick in flight. What is the foul? Kick, catching, interference. If Team R, if they're all taking a nap in the corner, Team K cannot touch a free kick in flight. Period, period, dot. Okay? Free kick. Free kick. Free kick. It's different for a scrimmage kick. All K&R players must remain behind their respective restraining lines. The violation is encroachment. When we went down to the field last week, we showed the K40 and we talked about, and if you watch the video, there's a free kick video, that we're not going to be draconian. So if Team K kicks the ball deep, we're going to give some latitude. If they attempt an onside kick, they've got to be perfect. An onside kick is like there's a plane of glass on the K40 and nothing can shatter that plane of glass, not even the tippy toe. But if the ball's kicked deep, we allow, one of the interpretations is we allow the foot to be in the air but not on the ground past the restraining line. Encroachment is a dead ball foul. You will, as you continue to officiate, you're going to pick up on the horror stories of a back judge who throws a flag for encroachment but doesn't blow the whistle, and Team R runs the ball back for a touchdown. And then the referee goes, "What's your flag for?" And he says, "Encroachment." What do? Oh, crap. So in this story, I don't know if this is an urban legend or not, there was such a confrontation that the back judge quit. He didn't officiate anymore. I don't know if that sounds familiar, Mark, but that's what I heard. At least 4 players must be on each side of the kicker when the ball is kicked. So there are 11 players. You can go 5 plus 1 plus 5. You can go 6 plus 1 plus 4. But you have to have at least 4. Sorry, Lily. When the ball is kicked. What you can't have, and I'll show you in the video if you look at the free kick video, is sometimes you have 4 and the kicker approaches the ball and then another kicker crosses in front of him and kicks the ball. And if that player who kicked the ball was between the 35 and the 40, he's legal. And if the kicker ran, the player who identified as the kicker ran behind the player who eventually kicked it and was on that side, that's legal too. But many times these trick plays are not perfect. The ball must travel 10 yards and touch the ground before K can legally possess the ball. So K cannot touch the ball in flight, and if R touches the ball, then this goes away. If R first touches the ball, and these requirements can occur in either order. And then this is a safety rule that popped up maybe a half dozen years ago. No longer can K plow the field, where the Team K players go sprinting and they just blow up Team R. And Team R, they're all in a fetal position with snot bubbles, and Team K comes and picks up the ball. Yes, sir.
What's the call on that?
What's that? This one?
Yeah.
This is illegal blocking. It's a 10-yard penalty. So K must be able to legally possess the ball before Team K blocks Team R, unless Team R initiates the block. If Team R comes out and initiates the block, then Team K by all means can block R. We just don't want to plow the field. We talked about this last week. This is another safety rule where Team K, their players cannot start on like the K30 and get a 10-yard head start. They can be between the K35 and the K40. And if there's a holder, the holder can legally be across the restraining line. The holder can. And the kicker, if he steps across the line to kick the ball, that's legal as well. So the kicker doesn't have to run up and make sure that his left foot is behind the line when he kicks. Make sure that the restricted area is clear. So you're going to have what we call a pre-snap routine. And one of the things, if you're the head linesman, you're on the 30-yard line on the chain side. If you're the line judge, you're at midfield on the press box side on a 5-person crew. You're looking down and you're going to make sure that your 2 yards are completely clear, and you need to be vocal. How many of you are very quiet? Anybody very quiet? You got to be a hockey referee.
Yeah, now when I'm out there, I'm
Yeah.
usually quiet sitting here, but when I'm out
Yeah.
there, I'm a lot more.
So, Coach, need your back, sir! And be polite, please. Please, Coach, can I get you back? Thank you. Make sure that you don't, because you're going to be moving down the field. You're going to be watching players. You don't want to run into someone who is in the restricted area. Team K can or cannot advance a kick. We're talking scrimmage kicks here now. So this was free kicks. Now we're into scrimmage kicks. Team K cannot advance a kick possessed beyond the neutral zone. Possessed meaning they possess the ball beyond the neutral zone. Team K cannot advance a kick that they have possessed beyond the neutral zone. But they can recover, and the ball is theirs if it is first touched by R. So let's say the ball's kicked and Team K possesses the ball legally. The ball's dead, and that is a spot of first touching, and Team R gets the ball. They don't get to kick the ball and catch it like with a free kick. With a free kick, if they kick the ball and it hit the ground and it's beyond the 10 yards, it's beyond the neutral zone, they can possess the ball, they can't advance it, but it's their ball. With a scrimmage kick, and we see this all the time, the kick goes off, and if no Team R player is around, Team K can actually even catch the ball in the air. If no Team R player is around. When they catch the ball is automatically dead because Team K possessed a kick. If they try to catch it and they muff it, we have a beanbag. We call that first touching. Team K can advance a kick possessed in or behind the neutral zone. So Team K snaps the ball and the punter catches it and he kicks it right into the butt of his snapper, and the ball bounces behind and he picks it up again. He can kick it, pass it, or run it. If he possesses a kick behind the neutral zone. Touching of a low scrimmage kick is ignored, and that allows Team R to jump and block a kick, and they're not guilty of touching the kick. So anything in that neutral zone. First touching, study this. If you see any first touching, go to Rule 6. And there's a first touching for free kicks, and there's a first touching for scrimmage kicks, and I think it's word for word. K can legally touch a scrimmage kick in flight. Scrimmage kick. Can they legally touch a free kick in flight? No. Can they legally touch a scrimmage kick in flight? As long as it's not kick catching interference, which means they cannot interfere with R's opportunity to move toward the ball. They can't touch a Team R player. So if a Team R, there's no halo, by the way, in high school. I don't say that here. There's no halo. So it's the official's judgment. And in my opinion, if Team R tries to catch the ball and catches it and Team K is right there, they did not interfere with Team R's opportunity to catch the ball. K can legally bat a scrimmage kick toward its own goal line. And we see that not all the time, but often on TV, where Team R runs and the ball's about ready to go in the end zone and they dive and they bat it. That's the case where batting is legal.
Team K.
Team K, thank you. Team K can bat the ball. Okay, it is 8:01. I've wasted 1 minute of your evening. Next week, it's gonna be the Eric McCormick Show. Remember, I turn into a pumpkin on the 20th of July. So any issues you have, do not reach out to me. I won't say you're dead to me, but I'm dead to myself. So the 20th of July, I don't exist. Reach out to Randy or reach out to Eric. Please watch your videos this week. Please.